Hi everyone. So this is the first video that I've made that I think deserves its own little disclaimer. A lot of feminization stories are entertaining, they're interesting, they grab your attention, and they're designed to grab your attention. But they're fiction. And I don't want them to be construed as news. I don't want the themes to be assumed as something that is the normal for transgender individuals or anyone looking to transition. They do hold a little bit of truth in them, and the fact that they are out there in the media means that they need to be addressed. So, as normal, I plugged a whole bunch of them into Google's NotebookLM, and this is what it gave me.
All right, listener, welcome back. We're diving into some, well, let's just say interesting stories today.
Definitely interesting.
We've got a whole stack of cross-dressing stories from this YouTube channel, Fem Stories.
Sounds intriguing. What kind of stories are we talking about?
Think personal accounts, guys transforming, lots of satin and lace, the whole 9 yards.
Okay, so we're talking of more than just clothes here, right? This is about identity, self-expression, all that.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is, even though each story is, unique,
Uh-huh.
there are these common threads, these themes that keep popping up.
I see. So our mission today is to, kind of untangle those threads, see what we can learn from them.
Exactly. So, ready to jump in?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
Okay, so one theme that just jumps out right away is this longing for femininity,
Interesting.
this desire to explore, a different side of yourself.
I can see that.
Like, take this story, Can't Resist Feminization, for example. The main character, Kurt, he confides in his secretary, Carissa, about how, well, he's always wanted to be a woman.
Wow, that's quite a confession.
And get this, Carissa was assigned male at birth.
Whoa, really?
Yeah, and she ends up helping Kurt explore his feminine side.
That's really powerful, finding that kind of understanding, that connection in an unexpected place.
Absolutely. And it really highlights the whole, needing acceptance thing.
Right, that need to be seen and accepted for who you are.
Yeah. Like in Family Demands My Feminization, this guy, Dennis, he's pressured by his best friend's family to dress as a girl for prom.
For prom, that's an interesting situation.
Yeah, and at first he's totally against it, but
Oh,
then
Ryan's
she
in
starts to
favor.
feel comfortable, even empowered by, presenting as feminine.
Huh. So it's almost like that external pressure from the family kind of pushed him into this self-discovery.
Yeah, exactly. It's like sometimes transformation, even if it's not, what you planned,
Right.
it can lead to personal growth. But then you have a story like, I will feminize you into my daughter, which takes uh, a much darker turn.
Ooh. Okay, what happens there?
This young guy, Paris, he's on the run, ends up with his doctor.
Hmm.
And the doctor, he starts giving Paris medication to make him, well, more feminine.
Make him more feminine without his consent.
Yeah, the doctor thinks he's curing Paris of something, something dangerous.
That's messed up, man. Talk about control and manipulation.
It is. It shows how, the idea of femininity can be used as a weapon.
Absolutely. It's like stripping someone of their autonomy, their right to choose.
Totally. And that whole theme of external forces, shaping someone's identity,
Right.
it pops up again and forced into her school uniform.
Okay, what's that one about?
This guy, Michael, his cousins, dare him to dress as a girl.
A dare, huh? So like a prank.
Yeah, but then it, awakens something in him.
I see.
These desires he didn't even know he had, and he ends up transitioning.
Wow, so a seemingly harmless prank triggers this whole profound internal shift.
Exactly. But of course, not everyone in these stories gets that acceptance and support.
All right, that makes sense.
Like, Mommy Supports My Feminization. It's about this Catholic priest, Cardinal O'Connor.
The Catholic priest.
Yeah, and he undergoes gender reassignment surgery.
Wow. That's got to be tough navigating that with the church.
It is. He faces a lot of backlash, but then he finds acceptance from a wealthy widow.
A wealthy widow.
Yeah, and she's creating this whole sanctuary for transgender women.
That's amazing. Finding that chosen family, that support system, when your, biological family might not understand.
Absolutely. It shows that, like, the need for belonging, for
Yeah.
acceptance, it can, come from unexpected places.
You really can.
So we're seeing all these different experiences, right?
Yeah, definite
From
effect.
people choosing to explore femininity to situations where it's forced on them,
Mm-hmm.
and all these different levels of acceptance and consequences.
It's
It is.
mm-hmm.
And it's not just about cross-dressing. It's about, being human.
Right, like figuring out who you are, what society expects, and just trying to, find where you belong.
Exactly. And it makes you think about how society, like, views gender, right?
Yeah, how we try to fit everyone into these neat little boxes, masculine or feminine.
And how these stories, they challenge those boxes. They make you question your own assumptions.
Definitely make you think.
Okay, so we've talked about, like, the desire for femininity, the impact of outside forces, and how important acceptance is in these stories.
Right.
But there's so much more to uncover, wouldn't you say?
Oh, absolutely. We've barely scratched the surface.
Well, listener, get ready, because in the next part, we're going even deeper.
Can't wait. Going through these stories, one thing that really stuck with me is this idea of transformation as a tool.
Oh, yeah, like how it was used in I Will Feminize You into My Daughter.
That's one way, but it's not always about, punishment or control. Sometimes it's more about pushing someone out of their comfort zone, making them face parts of themselves they might be hiding.
Like forcing them to grow in a way.
Exactly, like in, you will wear this dress.
Oh, yeah, with Nick and Cynthia.
Right. Cynthia basically tells Nick he has to live as a maid for a year if he wants to stay with her.
Seems kind of controlling at first glance.
It does, but it's more complicated than that.
How so?
Well, Nick actually starts to enjoy exploring his feminine side,
Mm.
but the reality of that life, it brings up all these mixed feelings for him.
So it's like she's challenging him
Yeah.
to really look at himself and what he wants.
Yeah, exactly. And this whole idea of transformation as a way to, discover yourself,
Right.
it comes up again in Aunt Feminized Me.
Ooh, that one was a wild ride. What stood out to you in that one?
Well, you've got Ben, and he finds out his aunt was, assigned male at birth.
A secret past, huh?
Yeah, and as they get closer, Ben starts changing too.
In what way?
He embraces his feminine side, even goes through gender reassignment surgery.
Wow, so it's like his transformation is tied to his aunt's.
In a way, yeah. He's dealing with his own identity, but also with his aunt's past.
And how that affects their relationship.
Right. It shows how these transformations, they have a ripple effect.
Yeah, it's not just about one person. It impacts everyone around them.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it also brings up this idea of like different generations and how they view gender.
Like in Mom Feminized Me,
Yeah.
where Melissa has a friend who's totally supportive, but her boyfriend's not so sure.
Yeah, it shows how, younger generations are often more open to gender fluidity.
But even with that growing acceptance, these stories don't sugarcoat the challenges.
Not at all. Forced into her school uniform, that's a tough one.
Oh yeah, when Michael's dad rejects him.
Breaks your heart, man. Shows how societal progress doesn't always mean families will be accepting.
It's a reminder that, being true to yourself can come with a cost.
Sadly, yeah. And then there's Schoolgirls Feminize Me, which gets into some pretty dark territory.
Yeah, that one took a turn. What was your take on it?
Well, it raises questions about consent, and manipulation, especially with the whole subconscious thought control thing.
It's like they're using technology to exploit her.
Yeah, mold her into something she's not.
And yet she somehow finds a way to, like, adapt to it, even find some agency in that situation.
It's complex, for sure, but it speaks to the resilience of the human spirit, It really does. It's like these stories are constantly making us look at our own biases.
Totally, making us think about gender, identity, and what transformation really means.
We go beyond the surface level.
Exactly. They make us consider the motivations, the societal pressures, the choices people make.
And they do it in a way that's, both entertaining and thought-provoking.
Absolutely. They're like these mini social experiments wrapped up in these captivating stories.
Okay, so we've talked about transformation as a tool, the ripple effects, the challenges people face. But there's one more thing I want to touch on.
Okay, what's that?
It seems like a lot of these stories, they come back to this need for acceptance.
That makes sense. That desire to be who you are without judgment or fear.
You can really feel that in almost every story.
Whether it's finding a chosen family, or making peace with your loved ones, or just having the courage to be yourself.
Exactly. It's this universal human need.
And even if the ending isn't always happy, These stories give us something to think about.
They do. They offer these insights into what it means to be human and how complex gender identity is in our world today.
You know, thinking about all this acceptance and transformation and everything, I keep coming back to Mom Feminized Son.
Yeah, that one was heavy.
It really got to me, you know. The son being forced to dress as a girl to keep his dad's cross-dressing a secret.
So many secrets in that family, all tangled up.
It's like society's expectations just like seep into everything, even families.
Force people into these impossible situations.
And you got to wonder, what does that do to the son? You know, growing up with all that hidden stuff.
It definitely makes you think about the importance of honesty, of open communication in families.
Especially when it comes to gender and identity and all that.
Absolutely. At the end of the day, it's about finding your place, right?
Yeah, whether that means embracing something new or challenging the rules or just figuring out your own path.
And it's rarely a straight line, is it?
Nope, more like a winding road full of bumps and detours.
Full of surprises, good and bad.
Like in Judge Orders My Feminization, talk about a wild turn.
Oh man, that one was intense.
Corrupt lawyer forcing the victim's attacker to, you know, become feminine as punishment.
That's taking things to a whole other level.
It's dark, makes you think about how society views anyone who's different.
Yeah, like using feminization as a weapon, it's messed up.
Shows how transformation can be a good thing or a bad thing, depends on the context.
It's all about who's in control and what their intentions are.
So yeah, listener, as we wrap up our deep dive into these femme stories,
Lots to unpack, huh?
it is what really hit home for you. Anything that like shifted your perspective.
I think more than anything, these stories remind us that gender isn't so simple, you know?
It's not just black and white, male or female.
Exactly. There's a whole spectrum of experiences out there.
And these stories, they give us a peek into that spectrum, even if they are, you know, fictional.
They encourage us to, like, open our minds, you know? Be more understanding.
Absolutely, because everyone deserves to feel accepted, to be who they truly are.
Couldn't agree more. And that's something to remember long after this deep dive is over.
Well said. And on that note, listener, thanks for joining us on this journey.
Always a pleasure. Until next time.
Wow, I'm on camera.